So, again from Mark Nixon, plan beats no plan. Carney campaigned on it, said he had one. Now we find out no budget, no numbers, no direction. And just the same cabinet, essentially, all saying the exact same things. I guarantee the Conservatives had one ready to go. Instead, Canada just got train wrecked. This is catastrophic. Elbows up got lied to. Elbows up should have been asses up all along.
I've learned a few things from long experience in crises. And the first is that plan beats no plan.
So no budget. So there is no plan. Like, just think about that for a second. We haven't had a functioning government since November. That's how long Parliament's been out. I can tell you there's a reason they're not releasing a budget. It's not like Mark Carney can't figure that out. He doesn't have people around him that can do it. It's not like he'd have to sit down and do the whole thing himself. Obviously, he's got people around him who should be able to help with this stuff. There's a reason they're not releasing a budget, because people won't like it. That's why. The people that elected Mark Carney won't like it, or at least some of them won't. At this point, I'm actually, thinking that Canada is so much of a TV-said country that he could release it. It could be the budget could just be to borrow $200 billion and then just send it to an island and drop an atomic bomb on it. And CBC will spin it, and Global and CTV will spin it in a way that where Carney's approval will go up. That's kind of how little faith I have in the Canadians. That outside of that, 42% about that made the right decision, that weren't fooled, that weren't tricked by elbows up. This is the one I want to get to. So the Carney cabinet. So these are the people who are going to set us on this brave new path. Carney's cabinet. So let's see. Canada's new housing minister, Gregor Robertson, said the quiet part out loud. We have to protect market housing. We don't want prices to go down. Uh-oh, that's not good. See, Carney didn't say anything about that, about housing staying just as expensive and unaffordable.
We've got to create some incentives and opportunities for people to get into the market. We got to make sure that people's assets are obviously protected, and that's the market housing.
So that's for the boomers who voted for the Liberal boomers. There's lots of amazing boomers in Canada, right? It's not all boomers, but it's just a majority of the voting boomers voted for Mark Carney, and that's for them to protect their equity. They've already got their houses. Translation, your kids will never own a home because inflated prices are policy. Welcome to Canada. It's hard to believe this is what there were enough Canadians to want this. More of Trudeau. More of the Trudeau Liberals, because that's what we're getting just on overdrive. Let's see, who else have we got? Here's Stephen Guilbeault. He's still hanging around. He's the guy who was an eco-criminal who's arrested. Famous photo of him being arrested for his eco activities. What's he saying here? Is he talking about pipelines? Now, Mark Carney said in French, no pipelines. In English, he said, yeah, pipelines. But I think we know where it's going. I mean, Stephen Guilbeault used to be the Minister of Environment and Global Warming because it's Canada. And now is the Minister of Canadian Identity and Culture. Well, I don't know. Weren't they telling us that we don't have any identity, any core identity? Maybe our core identity is just we're insane. Maybe our core identity is that we like being poor. Maybe our core identity is we want to destroy our civilization. Maybe that's it. Let's take a look.
Premier Smith is saying that you're anti-pipeline still. What do you say in response to her concerns just broadly about the cabinet? And how do you deal with national unity? How do you address that right now?
So on pipelines, people should remember that we bought a pipeline, Trans Mountain, and that is only used right now about 40% capacity. So I think before we start...
So that's a lie. It's actually 80% capacity. And they says they bought a pipeline. They had to buy a pipeline because it was going to be privately funded. And then the people that were going to build the pipeline walked away because of all of the problems and the hurdles that the Trudeau government put in front of them. They said it's not worth it. Then the government, in shame, had to actually buy and build the pipeline at way, way over budget, like billions over budget because of that. So I guess our identity is going to continue to be we're just incompetent and dysfunctional. I guess that's the Canadian identity now. Oh, also, we hate ourselves. And let's see, Canada's perpetual genocide state. I forgot about that. So he's in the cabinet too. So not looking good so far. So this is Sean Fraser. So he was the Minister of Immigration under our mass immigration that at the real root of all of Canada's problems was the mass influx of millions of people that the country, the economy could just not absorb. The reckless, insane rush to jam as many people into the country as possible. So he was Minister of Immigration under that. He was also Minister of Housing while housing prices doubled in the country and have just become totally unaffordable for young people. So now he's the Minister of Justice. So let's see. Canada is violent crime. Every kind of crime is going through the roof, and that will now continue because we've got the same guy who ruined housing and who ruined immigration. So, yeah, I guess fresh start, right?
When you decided not to run again, you said it was because you wanted to spend more time with your family, and you said when you were coming back again that you worked out a deal with Mr. Carney that you'd be able to, have a little bit more work-life balance. How does that jive with your new role?
Well, I expect what you're going to see is when the House of Commons is not sitting, given the nature of the portfolio, a lot of the stakeholders we have are less interested in having you attend groundbreakings, the openings of new buildings that you may have funded, and are quite accustomed to having meetings virtually. So I anticipate during constituency weeks, I'm going to be based in my hometown a little more than I was before. There may be an opportunity, depending on what's going on in the House, to avail myself, not all the time, of course, but once in a while, of the virtual abilities to participate in the House of Commons proceedings. So we're going to figure some of this out as we go. I'm very proud to have the support of my family to come.
So, I mean, okay, so the Minister of Justice is going to be working from home most of the time. Immigration, housing, the less he's working, the less damage he can do. So I guess that's maybe a blessing, actually. So anyway, it's a clown car so far. Who else have we got? Environment Minister Julie Debreson thinks your pickup is a planetary threat, your furnace is a crime scene, and your job in the energy sector is a moral stain. The new Environment Minister is just as radical as the one before, maybe even worse, and that's saying something. This is Carney sending a message to Alberta that nothing is changing, and it might even get worse. Geez, there were a lot of us saying this all along. Let's see. Julie Debreson isn't some moderate trying to bring balance to Ottawa. She's a dyed-in-the-wool downtown Toronto ideologue. So this is from Rebel News.
She once tweeted, and I quote, "It is no longer free to pollute anywhere across our country." What she meant was, if you live in rural Canada, drive a truck, or work in oil and gas, you're the problem, and they're going to make you pay for it. She celebrated when the tech frontier mine was killed. That was a multi-billion-dollar project, thousands of jobs in Alberta just gone. She said the environmental impact cannot be mitigated. Translation, Alberta's economy is non-negotiable. If you're still wondering.
So, okay, that's not good. Mark Carney, by the way, also is on the record saying that carbon emissions are going to have to factor in every single transaction any person makes. Everything anybody does, they're going to have to factor carbon into it.
To reach net zero, every country, every company, every bank, every investor, every pension fund around the world will need to make some big changes.
Which sounds a lot like some sort of commie central planning, doesn't it? Sure does to me. So there's another loser. So if there was ever any doubt, and there never was for me, but if anybody had any doubt that the Carney government was going to just be the Justin Trudeau government on steroids, well, that's they have been disavowed of that notion at this point. It's going to be exactly the same, especially when you consider that Mark Carney was the man behind the curtain since at least 2015. When the debt was doubled, Mark Carney was the man behind the curtain. Mark Carney told Trudeau to freeze the bank accounts of peaceful protesters, to crack down on the peaceful protesters in Ottawa. All of the bad decisions, especially anything to do with the economy, that was on Mark Carney's advice. Now Mark Carney's got his own hands on the rein. It's just gonna get worse. It's just going to get worse. Hopefully, at some point, every Canadian will see Mark Carney as the globalist technocrat goblin that I do. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. Please like, share, and subscribe. Subscribing really helps me out. I thank you for that. I will see you next time.